Every morning, before the city stretched awake, before buses groaned and shop shutters rattled open, Renee Johnson was already standing at the kitchen sink, scrubbing yesterday off her hands. The clock read 4:37 a.m. The apartment was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the shallow breathing of her children. In the next room, Renee stood barefoot on cold linoleum, hair wrapped in a faded scarf, shoulders aching from yesterday's work. That hadn't really ended because it never did. She rinsed her hands slowly, watching the water run brown, then clear. 3 kids, 1 paycheck, no room for mistakes. She dried her hands, walked softly to the bedroom, and checked on them the way she always did. Malik, 12, slept curled inward, like he was protecting something even in his dreams. Aliyah, 9, had kicked off her blanket, one arm thrown across her face, and baby Jordan, just 4, clutched a plastic truck like it was a lifeline. Renee adjusted blankets, kissed foreheads, and whispered promises she wasn't sure she could keep. "I'm trying," she murmured. "Mama's trying." By 6:15 a.m., Renee was on the bus, uniform pressed, shoes worn thin, eyes already tired. Her job was in Brookstone Heights, a neighborhood with iron gates and trimmed hedges that smelled like money. She cleaned for the Harrington family, a house so large it echoed even when empty. Mrs. Harrington liked things spotless but invisible. "Clean, but don't move anything," she'd said on Renee's first day. Quiet, but efficient. Grateful. Renee scrubbed floors she'd never walk barefoot on. Folded clothes that cost more than her rent. Cleaned fingerprints off glass doors no one else noticed. Her back screamed by noon. When she asked for a day off to take Malik to a school meeting, Mrs. Harrington sighed like Renee had asked for a miracle. "Try not to let personal matters interfere with your responsibilities." Renee nodded. She always nodded. Because rent didn't care about pride. The envelope waited on the kitchen table that evening, white and heavy with meaning. Malik watched her open it. "Am I in trouble?" he asked. Renee read slowly. Behavioral concerns. Declining grades. Recommendation for counseling. Possible suspension. Her chest tightened. "No," she said gently. "You're not in trouble." But Malik's eyes dropped. "They keep saying I'm angry." Renee sat beside him, exhaustion pooling behind her eyes. "Are you?" she asked. He hesitated. "Sometimes," he admitted. "Kids say stuff about you." "About me." She pulled him into her arms, the weight of her own failures pressing down. "Listen to me," she said softly. "You are not your anger. And you are not what people say about us." He nodded, but she knew it wasn't enough. Love couldn't always shield them. At night, after the kids slept, Renee sat at the table with a notebook and a calculator that barely worked. Rent, bus fare, groceries, electric bill overdue again. The numbers didn't add up. They never did. She circled school shoes and crossed it out. Next paycheck, maybe. Her phone buzzed in. No number. "Ms. Johnson," a man said briskly. "This is a courtesy call regarding your outstanding balance." Renee closed her eyes. "I just need time," she said. "Please?" There was a pause. "We'll note that," he replied. "But time runs out." The line went dead. Renee rested her forehead against the table and let herself cry quietly, so no one would hear. One evening, while Renee patched a tear in her uniform, Aliyah sat beside her. "Mom," she asked, "why don't you ever rest?" Renee smiled faintly. "I do rest." Aliyah frowned. "No, you don't." The needle paused mid-stitch. "Because," Renee said after a moment, "rest costs money." Aliyah nodded like she understood more than she should. "When I grow up," she said, "I'm gonna buy you a big bed and tell you to sleep." Renee laughed, the sound breaking through something heavy. "I'll hold you to that." It happened on a Thursday. Mrs. Harrington accused Renee of breaking a porcelain vase. Something Renee hadn't touched. "It was fine yesterday," she said coldly. "Now it's chipped." Renee stared at the vase, heart pounding. I didn't do this, ma'am. Mrs. Harrington crossed her arms. Are you calling me a liar? Renee swallowed. No. Well, Mrs. Harrington continued. This is unacceptable. I'll deduct it from your pay. Renee's hands shook. That's half my week's wages, she said. Please. Mrs. Harrington turned away. Be more careful next time. Renee cleaned the rest of the house in silence, tears burning but never falling. On the bus home, she stared out the window and wondered how much more she could bend without breaking. That night, Malik didn't come home. By 9:30 p.m., Renee was pacing the apartment, phone clutched tight. She called his friends. The school? The corner store? Nothing. At 10:17 p.m., the door creaked open. Malik stood there, eyes red, fists clenched. Where were you? Renee cried, pulling him close. I just needed air, he muttered. Her voice broke. You can't disappear like that. I was scared. He looked at her, really looked. I know you're tired, he said. I know you work hard. I don't want to end up stuck. Renee knelt to his level. You won't, she said fiercely. Not if I have anything to do with it. She hugged him like she might lose him if she let go. The next week, something unexpected happened. Mrs. Harrington's sister, Claire, visited. She watched Renee work quietly, efficiently. Later, she pulled Renee aside. You've been here years, haven't you? Claire asked. Yes, ma'am. And you have children? Yes. Claire nodded thoughtfully. My office is hiring a night janitor. Benefits. Better pay. Renee's breath caught. I don't have a resume, she said. Claire smiled. You have proof of work. 2 weeks later, Renee started a new job. It wasn't easy, but it was better. Months passed. Malik's grades improved. Aaliyah joined a school choir. Jordan learned to write his name. Renee still worked hard, but now, sometimes, she slept an extra hour. Sometimes, she smiled for no reason. One night, as they sat eating dinner, Malik looked at her. You didn't give up, he said. Renee reached across the table and squeezed his hand. Neither will you. Renee still cleaned sometimes. Still struggled. Still worried. But she stood taller now. Because every floor she scrubbed, every tear she swallowed, every sacrifice she made, it built something stronger than survival. It built legacy. And her children would carry it forward. Not the pain, but the strength.